welcome to another video by Adrian David from Pure Electric. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to do bonding straps. So I've got two types. I've got your traditional bonding strap with label, and I've got an easy clamp, which is going to be in your AM2 endpoint assessment. The idea of this video is to show you how to do it, and I've got a little tip for making sure that these are tight to the pipe. So I'm going to start off with the traditional bonding strap. I'm going to take off the label, which is your danger electrical warning notice, do not remove. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to remove that screw so that you can get the strap in behind that. I'm going to remove the screw, and I want to wind the nut all the way down to the end, and then making sure the label is the right way round so that it can be read. I'm then going to put that back onto the bonding strap. Yeah. So making sure that you've got some gap down there for the strap to come around. Because what's going to happen is, come back through and fit down the side like this. Secret weapon is a set of long nose pliers. Stick those up there for a second. You're going to take the strap around the pipe and you're going to feed it back in on itself. And I like to have my terminal screw pointing downwards. It doesn't matter which way round this goes, it's just personal preference, but I like the loops of my cable going downwards rather than over the top. I'm just going to do up that lock nut just to hold this label up out the way. And then this is where you need the long nose pliers. You're going to grab the strap, grip it tight, and you're going to do this up like you would a sardine can. And you just keep going round and round and round until it won't go anymore. And then I can hold that in place with one hand. Now, if you were working in a cupboard underneath a sink or in a tight location and you could literally just get your arms in without your whole body, that is going to hold that to the pipe absolutely perfectly. Then you're going to do that screw up as tight as you can. You need to release the long nose pliers and open them out slightly. There you go. Just make sure the label is pointing upwards. And if I just bring this round to the side, so if I just bring this round to here, you can see that this is now very tightly bound. So it also makes it look nice and neat as well. And that is not moving on the pipe. That's the pipe moving, not the actual bonding strap. So if I hold this pipe, that is not moving on the pipe whatsoever. Okay, I'll do that again. So again, we remove the label, undo the center screw, wind the nut all the way down to the end, put our bonding label back on, facing forward so that we can read it, and then just putting the screw in just a couple of turns, but making sure that we haven't screwed down the strap at the back. I'm just bending this to help me hook it round the pipe. So I'll get that round there. I can hook this round. Wind that nut in to make sure that blue label is held up out the way. And then put the strap in around the back. Like so. Get the long nose pliers, grip them on. Start to do this up as tight as you can. Like so. Make sure it's level with the other one. Do that up tight, lock it into place by sort of coming back across the pipe and pushing up against the side of the clamp, and then do up the center screw. Make sure that's up the top. And you want this to be as tight as possible so that it's electrically sound. Once it's tight, release the long nose pliers, drop that out. Check that it's tight on the pipe. That pipe should not spin. And then we're ready for that. The second type of clamp that I'm going to show you is this easy clamp. Now this works slightly differently. We've got a center screw that I can undo, and that just winds this screw in and out. We've then got this little sprung loaded clip here, which is what that screw is going to push against. And what happens is this clips on to a pipe like that. Okay, so it literally just twists into the middle and you spin it clockwise and then it grips onto the pipe. Then that screw is done up in the center, that pushes on this flap and that pulls this into the pipe. Now the danger is with this one, which way around do we want to have it? If you look at the side, it's got the warning sign on the side of the actual clamp itself. There isn't a label on this one, so this needs to be visible to whoever's using it at a later date. What you don't want to do is have that pointing downwards so that people can't read it. So in your AM2, make sure that the safety label is pointing upwards, like so. I'm then going to line that up with the others and then do up the center screw. Now with this particular type of clamp, you don't need to do it up too tight. Because of the way that it works, all you're going to do is crush the copper pipe the more that you do it up. So what I'm going to show you now is that these easy clamps can easily just twist and clip on. But if they're done up too tight, they can crush the pipe. So that would not be good for pipes or plumbers. Nobody's going to be impressed with that happening. That's weakened the pipe and stretched it. Right, so now I'm going to pick up my 1 meter length of 10mm green and yellow cable. And I'm not going to sort of start at one end. I'm going to sort of start about here really and just pretend that this is going off to a consumer unit or somewhere. Now, I would be looking for a kind of a loop at the bottom, like so. About 60mm, 50 to 60mm loop. What you're then going to do is you're going to mark that. So score it with your cutters. Obviously you don't want to damage the cable, but just through the insulation. And then from that mark, you want about 50mm because that's what's going to bend round this screw. So between there and there, about 50mm, make another mark. Then you get your Stanley blade cutting away from you, not towards you, because if you cut towards you and you slip, this is going to go into your body. You cut away from you. And I'm using my thumb to push the blade along, okay? Try not to cut into the copper. Now this would be a lot easier for you guys at work because this cable should be clipped. Obviously when you're trying to hold it in free air, it moves around quite a lot. And you remove this piece of cable insulation, and then you're going to put a bend into the middle, like so. You're then going to use your long nose pliers just to straighten that up and compress it, like so. Take this screw out. And then you want to make sure that that screw fits through that copper. And then you put the screw back in again. Now I'm pulling down on this at the same time so that I've got as much of the copper behind the washer as possible as I'm doing it up. And again, you want this done up as tightly as possible. Now you'll notice that I've gone clockwise around the screw, because as I do the screw up, I want the cable to be drawn into the screw. If you go anti-clockwise around the screw, as you do it up, the cable will open out, okay? Give it a wiggle, make sure it's tight, and then check. Again, another wiggle, and then check again. Now that is absolutely rock solid now. Press this cable in down this side. Now you guys would have some clips down there holding that in place. And then all we're going to do is we're just going to continue this looping effect on like so. It's going to get a bit easier now as the cable's being held by the pipe. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. You need to make sure that you strip off enough that it's not underneath the screw, because again, insulation does not conduct electricity. So if there was a fault and the screw was onto the insulation, that isn't going to work properly. We need to be onto the copper, which is the conductive part. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to create a groove in the insulation, 50 millimeters between the two cuts. And then I'm going to use my Stanley knife just to remove that from the center, like so. Bend it in the middle. Use your long nose pliers just to shape this up. Square it up so that it fits in between the two. So it fits in between the two side bits of the bonding strap. And then the screw through the center, make sure it fits in. You might need to open it out a little bit, but you need to make sure there's enough thread on the other side of this so that it can screw in. If it's not, then you need to compress that cable like so until you've got thread showing. Line it up with the hole. Get a couple of turns on it and then pull down on the cable to make sure that it's in nice and tight. Now, because these pipes don't go anywhere, you can see that they slide in and out of these pipe clips quite easily. So it is very difficult to hold this down and pull at the same time. But it will be much easier in the real world. And again, to get a nice tight grip on this, I'm going to put my hand at the end, pushing into the wall, and I'm going to use my arm like a lever to get the purchase on it necessary to make sure it's tight. Once you've got it tight, give it a bit of a wiggle. And the reason for this wiggle is to help all the cores either side just sort of level out like fingers. If I've got my fingers like that, a bit of a wiggle helps them all to sit down straight so that when I do the screw up, again, I'm just taking up that slack. So you can see I'll get another couple of tweaks on it, give it a bit more of a wiggle, just to help the cores balance out either side. And you can see, look, that's another at least full turn there. And now it's really starting to get solid in there. It's not quite finished yet. Right, that's getting better. I reckon one more. One more and we're good. Oh, there you go. Right, that's lovely and tight. That's not going anywhere now. When I move it, there's nothing at the top that's moving. I'm solid underneath the screws. Okay. Make sure you've leveled everything up. Aesthetics is everything. Now when it comes to the easy clamp is slightly different. You'll notice that you've got this groove down the side here which the cable can fit into, like so. If you try and come round this way, it's going to be, you're going to have to kind of loop in like this and come round it clockwise, because don't forget to go round the screw clockwise. So I'm going to come in round the back. I think it's going to look neater. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dress that in like so, give it a nice sort of loop along those kind of lines. Sort of dress it in and make it look nice and neat. A bit higher there, so that needs to be a bit lower there, just like that. And again, when you get to the end of the line, all I need to do now is just mark where I want the cable to strip, which is there. And on the last one, I don't actually need to use my Stanley knife. All I have to do is just push this cable up to the end and making sure that I leave enough on there, and then I can just trim this off like so. Okay. Remove the screw. Bend the cable, again going clockwise around. Make sure the screw fits through the middle. Compress the cable, get it as tight as you can. Make sure the screw fits through the centre still. And all I'm going to do is just put that round this way. And in this instance, I'm just going to open this up with a bit of a kick at the end to avoid this screw in the middle. So effectively like that. So I'm going to get that started. Make sure that's all the way in, like so. Nice and tight. Give it a wiggle, make sure the cores are balancing out either side. Okay. And then make it look nice aesthetically. The last thing we need to do then is we just need to drop these labels down over the connection. So I'm just going to loosen off that, put that this way round, and then if you get your fingers either side, roughly where this top of the cable is, like that, give it a bit of a bend up and then back down again, because effectively you want it flat around where the nut is so that the nut can do up tight. Now this locking nut is there to hold the label in place so it's not loose, but primarily it's there to stop this screw coming undone through vibration, so it needs to be done up tight. Now the ideal thing to use at this point would be a little spanner, and I used to have a little Bahco adjustable spanner like the type that plumbers use for radiator pipes. Unfortunately they do go missing quite a lot, so I don't have one at the moment, but that's what you would use. So that goes like that, that covers over the connection. I'll do the same with this side, like so. That's it, lovely, nice and tight. There we go. And that is how you do bonding clamps, with the normal bonding clamp, the strap type, and the easy clamp. So thank you for watching this video. As you can see, this is a much better system for getting the bonding straps onto the pipework. They're nice and tight, they're not going to move around, and it looks aesthetically pleasing. As always, please like, share and subscribe to get these important messages out there. Thank you for watching. Take care.